here. Gather round, have a seat on the bed, or perhaps the couch. Have a cup of coffee. If you're parched. Coffee, I feel like, makes you more parched, but that's all right. I like to have my third cup of espresso right around 10:45 p.m. That's the best time for a pick-me-up when you're live streaming after a stand-up comedy show. We'll go ahead and get started pretty soon here. Mostly since there's no one here. But, yeah. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more audience as we keep going on YouTube here. That's what I hear. That's what it says on Reddit, so... if you're just joining replay, just skip ahead a little bit. You'll see some opening credits. We'll start with cold open and go into some stories, rather. So, and if you're in the chat, if you show up, if you meander across this place, I'm sorry. But say hi. Say what's up. I'll try to monitor it tonight and respond. Okay, and we'll get started here in just a sec. Okay, let's roll. Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. Well, tonight, Trump has announced he'll be sending $2,000 tariff checks to all Americans early next year. Yeah, so... the liberals will finally get what they've always wanted. Yeah, a billionaire will give away all his money and they'll still be mad. Did not have my finger on the damn button. I need to get one of those clickers that you can just click through for this stuff. We're going to hit the punchline again for the recording. It's going to be so good when you guys see the video. Yeah, liberals will finally get what they want. A billionaire is going to give away all of his money and they'll still be mad. Those liberals, they always look the same. You know, they got to look to them. Candace Owens claims that President Macron of France has paid $1.5 million for her assassination, due to her claims that his wife is a man. Yeah, like Charlie Kirk, she believes his wife is behind it. These videos from Grok are so stupid sometimes. It's perfect. That's also, it also created, her story makes the best setup for a joke. A Frenchman, a tranny, and a Jew walk into a bar, and according to Candace Owens, they all want to kill her. Yeah, all three. All groups, really. Well, Elizabeth Warren was spotted today preparing for Thanksgiving. It's one of her native dances. They get really hyped for the holiday. All right, cool. Let's get started on the stories for tonight. We'll pull them up. I wanted a little bit of background on a story here. So, I mean, sort of a slow news week still. It was slow last week, too. But I noticed a couple sort of interesting stories, which we'll go over. One was, and I saw this the other day, apparently, I'll kind of read from, well, I guess apparently what happened is some guys interrupted a Muslim prayer on a campus somewhere. These guys that don't even go to the school just showed up and started like waving bacon around in front of them and taunting them, I guess, for praying, which is obviously not cool. I 100% don't condone this behavior. Actually, it's really just even watching the clip super off-putting to me. I don't know what point they were trying to make. It looks like they're filming it. It's just really, really dumb. You know, and people seem genuinely upset.
Chicken is halal. You can eat bacon whenever you want.
Bad thing to do.
After the prayer ended,
but the story here is, I guess these guys were want that. I want... I guess they were brought up on charges, on hate crime charges. Which is kind of crazy to me. So, yeah, hate crime charges for that. We also recently had, there was a lady in a park. I think I have the tweet over here. This lady, a Minnesota mom. You guys remember her? You remember the story? This was a couple months back. I guess she got mad at some other kid that was playing with her kid. She felt inappropriately in a park. And so she called the kid the N-word, right? Also, not something I condone. I think it's probably pretty awful, to walk around treating people like that, especially kids, Probably not the right thing to do, right? But again, the weird thing about this story is it's been several months now, and she's been charged. She's now facing criminal charges. I think it's disorderly conduct in her case. So hate crime charges weren't brought in her case, but she's being charged with something here. And I remember watching this video. I mean, she doesn't assault anybody at any point. She doesn't appear to do anything other than speak really inappropriately, which seems to be the case for both of the videos. With the Muslim one, I did hear somewhere, I read briefly that they may have spit at the people, which is obviously a further escalation. I mean, that crosses the line into some form of assault. So if that's correct, that's obviously not good. But at the same time, we're seeing juxtaposed next to each other these two stories of people being charged for what appears to be free speech, horrible speech, right? But free speech nevertheless. And at the same time, we're seeing apparently no hate crime charges brought. There was just a white woman who was burned alive. She's still in the hospital recovering, was burned, set on fire in a Chicago subway by a black guy, right? As far as I know, there are no hate crime charges in that case. I may be mistaken, maybe it's been updated, but as far as I know, there's no hate crime charges in that case, right? And let me get rid of this real quick. And then at the same time, you have these ones where just somebody's speech is being policed to the point where they are facing actual criminal charges. So, I don't know in what jurisdiction they're at. Maybe it's just activist judges in both of these places, but we shouldn't be prioritizing harmful speech over harmful actions. And hate crime laws seem like they generally, like on a separate note, just need to go away. Because it doesn't seem like there's any, the problem with hate crime laws is who decides what is hate, right? I mean, these cases that you're seeing currently, you have several cases of black people attacking white people violently in public settings, and very few of them are charged as hate crimes, right? Because there is maybe a liberal judge or a liberal district that is the arbiter of what is the hate crime and what isn't. And then you have these instances where people are brought up on hate crime charges for waving bacon in front of people, which doesn't make any sense to me. So weird charges. My hope and my assumption is that these will be somehow dropped in court due to First Amendment violations. But the hate crime charges specifically against against the guys who were harassing the Muslim people, I don't know if that somehow works around, First Amendment protections a little bit better. So scary times, and we should definitely get rid of hate crime laws. Unless it's very specific instances of hate crimes. I don't know. It just seems like it's too broadly enforced to me. There's Mario Nawful is tweeting about this. Quantum computing. Let me pull it up here. Blah, blah, blah. He's tweeting about quantum computing. So, I don't have any idea how quantum computers work. Let me just state that right out of the gate. Except that they're really tiny. And my understanding is they somehow use probability, basically, to compute things supposedly faster than, like, a million times faster than a regular future. So when people talk about the future of technology, they talk about two things. They talk about AI and they talk about quantum computing. Now, we already know that one of the big problems with AI is that we look to it as an authority figure, and it turns out it just makes shit up, like, all the time, right? Which, I will say, if you're trying to get to human level intelligence, that's probably the most human thing you can do, is just lie about shit and make shit up, right? But we're entering this weird territory where AI is just sort of making up or hallucinating a bunch of the stuff that it's saying, right? Well, now quantum computers it appears they may be doing the same thing. So Mario's he's retweeting an article where quantum computers promise to crack problems so complex they take 9,000 years on today's fastest supercomputers. But there's a twist. We don't have a reliable way to check if the answers are legit or if they're just flashy, which is a really troubling place to be in, right? It's sort of the same problem we have with AI, except we can second guess it and check it a little bit better, right? Well, Swinburne researchers, I guess this is some institute, they tackled this problem by creating a tool to verify results from they call it a photonic quantum device called a Gaussian boson sampler. Gaussian boson sampler. Everybody has one of those. I left my Gaussian boson sampler in the bathroom. Otherwise, I'd show it to you. But yeah, so they created this tool, runs on a laptop, and it flagged major errors in some of the experiments that were hyped as quantum wins. The results didn't match and were full of noise, or in other words, nonsense that no one had analyzed. So now they're asking a terrifying question. Did the system just glitch, or did it stop being quantum at all? Either way, if we want it to work, we first need to make sure it's not hallucinating. So I just thought this was funny because I am, number one, not a huge fan of AI in its current form. I like using it for my show in limited capacities. But has anyone experienced not being able to enjoy watching videos anymore? Has anyone felt that? I feel like I can't really enjoy watching videos online anymore. I experienced this today. There was like some video of, I used to love watching crazy videos of things happening to people. There was one video of like people moving like a gumball machine down some truck ladder, and it topples over and spills everywhere. But you could just tell there was something sort of off about it a little bit. The way the gumballs, it looked like too many. And then you go in the comments, and of course people are saying it's AI. It was the same thing with, like, there was a funny dog video, you know? You used to be able to tell when AI was like a fake video. And now you really can't, because people are really good at mimicking lifelike videos for views, you know? All they want to do is basically generate views to their stupid Twitter page so they can get a little small payout, right? And so they create these fake AI videos that they present as real. And it's just sort of ruining the experience, because the biggest part of what I loved about watching crazy videos is that they really happened, right? That's like really the key part, is that, oh, it's so crazy and it was caught on video and this really happened to these people, right? If you find out that half of the amazing shit you're watching didn't actually occur, it's sort of a letdown. So now anytime I see a crazy video pop up, I'm just immediately less interested, because I'm like, oh, there's like a 50% chance whatever I'm about to watch is fake, right? So, and anyways, to tie this back to these quantum computers, I'm a little bit worried. I don't know if this will end up being true or not. Maybe everything will work out. But I'm a bit worried that we could end up in a very dystopian future where AI is hallucinating half the shit it says, but we don't know or can't verify it because we're not smart enough to. And where quantum computers are hallucinating half of the shit that they're saying and half of the results they're giving, but we don't know it because we're not quite smart enough to figure it out. And at the same time, we're relying on these two things, AI and quantum computing, because we believe them to be smarter than ourselves. And because they've made the world so much more complex that we have to rely on them in order to get through our day-to-day lives, right? If that's the case, we end up in a really dystopian future where we're just basically in a very confused and confusing world with no way out other than the same tools that are hallucinating to help us out of it. So, I don't know. This news about the quantum computing is pretty troubling to me. I wasn't too happy about it, but we'll see. Maybe it'll all work out. Who knows? Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned from Congress, I'm sure. Well, she's going to resign, I guess, in a couple of months here. I mean, this happened a few days ago. There's probably nothing new I could add to it, except I agree it was probably the right time or the right move for her to make. I mean, you know, Trump had that post on Truth Social not too long ago where he was saying she couldn't win and she needed to drop out. And I think, you know, she must have also thought that she couldn't win if she was willing to drop out. So if that's the case, and you know there's no chance that you're going to win, you know, fighting for it, you imagine you're going to have to go against Trump now and have Trump just giving you nicknames and bad-mouthing you for the next, you know, several months. I don't know that that's the best game plan if you're just going to lose anyways, probably. So she made a good move. Get out while you can. I guess she was just vested at that time when she'll be resigning, so she'll have all her health insurance and everything like that, which is cool. And then you get to basically save face and just kind of leave a hero, you know? You went in, you did it, you can say you did it, go in, fight for change, and then you just resign. You didn't lose anything, and you didn't have to go through a smear campaign or a big fight with President Trump, which is a solid move. So, good for her. The other big story, this was over the weekend. So X has started disclosing people's country of origin on their profile. So used to be, you know, somebody could say they were, you know, could purport to be somebody tweeting from the United States, and you had no way of verifying their location. And now if you go to their profile, I'll kind of show it to you on mine. You got to go to the part where it says joined, right underneath here, joined like July 2010. If you hover over that or you click on it, I think on a phone, it'll show you where the account is based in. Okay? So it says in the United States or France or India or wherever it is. Well, apparently there have been a lot of very prominent accounts who post either like anti-Jewish sentiment or very pro kind of American, well, they say anti-American, demoralizing Marxist content that's aimed specifically at Americans. And they have some examples here. This guy, Eitan Fishburger. That sounds like the most Jewish name I've ever heard in my life, by the way. Eitan Fishburger, nice profile pic. He also looks like a spy. He's not helping his case any. No, but he has he lists a thread of prominent accounts that have been flooding the U.S. with, and some of these accounts have like hundreds of thousands of followers. Okay, so these are not small accounts. Here's one, Suppressed News, right? Based out of North Africa. Oh, I'm sure we got the thread here. Let me see. The Resonance from India, right? And it's a picture of like some random white girl on the thing, right? Conscious Philosopher, Serbia, right? I never trust anything with like a conscious or philosophical followed by a Roman picture. All that shit's fake. This one has Turkish in its bio, he says, but nice to have confirmation. There's Turkey. One of Jeffrey Epstein's handles is based in Norway. So it's basically outing. I think even Matt Walsh talked about this. You know, it's kind of funny at first if you're viewing it as a problem of just a few smaller accounts, which some of them are. They're just like, you know, accounts that have done pretty well, tweeting as like a supposed patriot from America, and it turns out they're just some Indian dude, right? There's a lot of like Indian guys being exposed right now who have accounts as like hot blonde chicks on Twitter. But if you view it as a national security concern, which I think it actually is, you know, again, like I said, a lot of these accounts are not small accounts. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, like 400,000 followers on an account, right? And they're able to successfully gain all these followers, convince people that they're pro-America, anti-Israel, whatever they want to push, right? And they've been operating from some account in, you know, Sarajevo or India or somewhere that is not the U.S. So it's actually a pretty big story given how much reach some of these places have. There were a couple funny stories too. This was an example. There's just one account called The Man Maker. I guess he's like a pro guy dating kind of account, testosterone, this. He says, sign of low testosterone. You hate someone because of their location. This was posted today. His location, India. Which is just funny because it wouldn't be so funny except he also portrays himself as Jason Statham. You know. So, and the comments have been really funny on these things. Sign of low testosterone, so people just murk him in the comments. Hiding that you're from India because you're from India. Tiffany Fong points it out. Sign of low testosterone here. Someone's got a little tweet. Is this the sign of high testosterone? This one is a little racist, but very funny every time I see this picture posted on one of the Indian accounts. It makes me laugh. So, what was another one? Here's another account, Mariana Times, I guess. They've been using this. I'm telling you, whoever this Indian guy is getting a lot of play right now. Mariana Times, I guess, was like a pro-Israel account, maybe. Confirmed it's based out of India. You know, you could go to these accounts here. They have pictures of themselves. People are flagging it now, putting community notes in, because it's essentially a fake account. It's not even this girl. You know, and again, 78,000 followers. I got like 900 followers. These accounts are crushing it with whatever propaganda they're doing. So, pretty insane. Dave Rubin had he's the one who pointed this out, that it was a big story. This is absolutely massive story of foreign ops shaping our political and cultural discourse. Will mainstream media even cover it? My guess is not. Will the set of influencers who fell for it look in the mirror? Stay tuned. And he has, you know, he points out suppressed news and everything. Okay, maybe a couple other things. I think we might keep it short tonight, though. It's getting a little late. I got some places I could go to. Who is this in the chat? Who hath chatted me? Were you in Waterboy? All of this waiting for someone to chat just for that. And yes, I was in Waterboy. Thank you very much. Had a cameo, okay? If you must know. Man, I wish I could see this chat better, too. I have to, like, get it in a more prominent place or something. It's kind of tough to see the way that my screen's set up. What else do we want to talk about? I don't even know if I want to get into this. Stand approval, blah, blah, blah. We'll maybe talk a little bit about this stuff more tomorrow. I mean, I was just looking over notes for the whole Thomas Crooks, Kash Patel thing. You know, Tucker Carlson recently dropped that report that raised some serious questions about Trump's attempted assassin and Butler. Friday, I should have just done live streams on Friday, honestly. Kash Patel, basically, he seems to be responding directly to the Tucker Post series. He says, Dan and I sat down with Brooks Singman to walk through every aspect of the Butler investigation. We fully briefed POTUS on the entire case, and he was satisfied with the work and the results. These are the details the prior administration never released, and in some cases never even pursued. The FBI has redoubled its efforts to provide the American people with full factual transparency about this tragic attack. So he's trying to wrap it up, basically, right? And say, it's all good, we did the report. Their conclusion, the FBI's conclusion, is essentially that Thomas Crooks acted alone, that they could find zero evidence of foreign involvement, our own government involvement. And it just doesn't, I mean, it just, there are too many weird things about it. I don't know. The thing is, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino genuinely seem like they're solid patriots to me. So I can't see them, you know, they were sort of brought into these positions to kind of clean up the FBI, right, in these organizations. So I can't see them lying about something like this unless they know something that they're not disclosing to the public specifically, and which would mean Trump probably knows it. I mean, there's a chance. They say that there's no. So Tucker Carlson's expose pointed out that there was. There's Miranda Devine is a reporter, I guess. She has a good thread on this. She questions, first of all, why the FBI responded by going and doing an interview with Fox News versus talking directly with the reporters who broke the story about there being some missing info from the Thomas Crooks thing. So she points that out in the thread here. She goes, let's go through the FBI press release titled Correcting the False Media Reports and compare it side by side. One thing that they claim, so in the Tucker report, it claims that Thomas Crooks had, it's one of the big things they point out or insinuate, is that he had some sort of communications with this guy named Willie Tepes, and that this guy may have convinced him to do the shooting, basically. Well, she says the FBI basically said that that's incorrect. You have their statement right here. The FBI investigation revealed no direct communication between an individual named Willie Tepes and Crooks. A YouTube account named Willie mentioned Crooks on 4 YouTube posts. These occurred, they give the dates. The FBI investigation did not reveal Willie Tepes tagged or mentioned Crooks' reply posts. Crooks did mention or tag an account named Willie420. According to information posted on Antifa.tk, a Telegram user named Willie Tepes was identified as Bjorn Leaf Schelmerud. The post provided an address and telephone number for Schelmerud. They were negative in all FBI systems. In the post, he appeared in an image that included a sign for the Nordic Resistance Movement, which is a specially designated terrorist group that espouses racially or ethnically motivated ideology. So they kind of, I mean, I'm sort of satisfied with that answer. It does answer one of the big questions from Tucker Carlson's post. Interestingly, they say that he has no known connections to the furry community, which was like a big story a couple weeks ago, but also seemed like it might be fake just because it's a little too on the nose. You know, it's a little too like, oh, of course, everyone is. So they say there's no connections to this, except they mention their investigations revealed Crooks displayed an interest in animated female muscle-building erotica. Well, who among us has not, looked at some bodybuilding anime female erotica from time to time? Of course, that's... Yeah, but no furry community stuff, they say. I don't know. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk have a good bit about this. They were talking about this on his podcast, just all the weird details. And I think Wall Street Apes, this guy sums it up pretty well. FBI Director Kash Patel officially declares Thomas Crooks acted alone. And he just points out, what about all these details discussed by Elon Musk and Joe Rogan? Is this nothing to see here? Here's the details. The assassin's house was professionally scrubbed. His home was scrubbed so well there wasn't even silverware left in the home. No footprint on the internet, they said. No social media footprint. It was completely wiped. He was in a BlackRock commercial. Why are all these guys in BlackRock commercials? Joe Rogan says some individuals inside BlackRock may have recognized that it's beneficial to them if he gets assassinated. There was never a formal report. There was never a press conference where they detailed all the information they know currently and where the investigation stands at the moment. That's one of the weirdest things, right? Is that it was just radio silence on a guy who tried to kill the president, or the assumed president-elect at the time. Like that's insane. He was a very young kid with a rangefinder used to measure distances, very suspicious. This was one of the weirdest things I thought at the time that this shooting happened. CNN streamed it live, which Joe Rogan does not believe they did for any other rally. I remember hearing that at the time, that it was odd that CNN live streamed it. And certainly not for a rally that's in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. They wouldn't let people be on that roof because the Secret Service lady said it was sloped and it was dangerous. The snipers that were on the other roof were a steeper pitch. It made no fucking sense that they were on a different roof that was steeper. Random people saw him and pointed him out on the roof with a gun for a long time before it happened. The kid had 5 phones. 5 phones. His body was immediately cremated. And there were some indications that there was a phone that had been traveling from outside the FBI offices in D.C. where this kid lived multiple times. So I tend to agree with these guys.
Bad company.
Okay.
I think they're...
It's really weird. Everything about this case just doesn't seem right to me. And I know that my gut feeling at the time, which may be wrong, but my gut feeling at the time was that a lot of very powerful people, even within our government, probably wanted Trump dead at the time. It was very suspicious for CNN to be randomly live streaming the rally. Very suspicious for them to let somebody up on that roof, which was just outside of the perimeter that they were guarding. Very suspicious for the drone surveillance to go down right at the time he's flying a drone over the rally. So I think we still do have some questions about it. And I don't know that we will ever get the answers, whether they know more than they're letting on or not. Because if there was anything that you would hide from the public at large, this would probably be it, something like this. That's about it for tonight's show. We will gather around tomorrow. I'll probably be live streaming late again, around like 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. Anyway, have a good rest of your night. Enjoy.